Now, why am I going to do that? Once again, because I want to give them the ability to get a longer backswing. Let's be honest, as we get older, we should not be setting up to the golf ball the same way we did when we were 16, 17, 18 years old, because our body doesn't move like it used to. But the good news is we can modify your setup to help you still play some great golf. Today we're going to talk about that. I'm PGA teaching professional Todd Cope, Director of Instruction for US Golf TV and the Sanford Power Golf Academy, and we can play some great golf as we get older. Today I'm going to show you how you can set up to help you still move the way you need to hit quality golf shots. So let's dive right into it. So first of all, when I'm working on the setup position with any of my students, I like to work, I take a lot of look from the face-on view, what we call the Caddy View. So we've got the camera set up here to talk to you down the line. I've got my live view set up from the face-on view. So anytime I'm working on setup, I like to put up two lines here. So you'll notice right here on the screen, I've got a red line and I've got a blue line. And we're going to talk a lot about those lines and what they mean for us in the setup. So first of all, let's draw some distinctions between young golfers and let's just call them experienced golfers, all right? So first of all, we're going to assume that the mobility, the flexibility, and the strength that we had when we were 20 is not the same we have when we're 40, 50, 60. So what are we going to do? The first thing you're going to do is we're going to modify the feet. So from the setup view, right here from face on, in standard coaching, traditional coaching, we would tell you to keep your toes basically relatively straight ahead. So notice where they're at relative to the lines right here. Notice my toes are pretty straight on, right that. Now that's great if you got a lot of flexibility in your hips and things like that. But as we get older, we're going to take those and we're going to flare those out a little bit. So notice my toes, I'm starting to point out. Okay, so now my toes are at an angle. Now what will that do for you? Well, that's going to make rotation in the backswing, rotation in the forward swing much, much easier. And as you can turn your hips more, you'll be able to turn your upper body more. So if your swing has gotten shorter as you've gotten older, it could be because you've lost some flexibility, but you can increase that range of motion by literally just taking your toes, okay, and pointing them out a little bit. So that would be the first place that I would look. The next thing that I would do is I would modify your aim, okay? So let's say that traditional coaching has a setup where our toes and our hips and our body are perfectly square or parallel to our target line. That would be traditional coaching. I teach a lot of golfers to do that, okay, based on their body style and what they're able to do. Senior golfers who come see me, which I see a lot of them, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take their aim and I'm going to shift it to the right a little bit for a right-handed golfer. Now, why am I going to do that? Once again, because I want to give them the ability to get a longer backswing. And by changing their aim, by literally taking their feet and moving it more to the right, I will have increased that range of motion. So let me just do a quick math here. If my toes are square to the target line and my range of motion allows me to get, let's say, 60 degrees of turn, for sake of discussion, if I take their aim and I move it 10 degrees to the right and I take that 60 degrees of rotation and I add the two together, now I get 70 degrees of rotation around the golf ball. So that would be tip number 2, is to go ahead and just change your baseline, what we call your aim, slightly to the right of the target. Now those are two quick things that can help you out immediately, and we're going to talk about some other ones as well. And I can tell you this, if you haven't already, hey, be sure to join the family here at US Golf TV. Subscribe, ring the bell, leave a comment, because we love hearing from you and we're putting out some great stuff. So those are the first two things. Now let's talk about the position of the hips, okay, at setup. So got my live view set up here. I love using live view when I'm working with all golfers. Doesn't matter age or skill. I love working with live view because it provides instant feedback. So I've taken these two lines, red line and blue line, just put them outside the hips there. Now, for older golfers, I got their toes out, I've got your baseline. I want you to take your lead hip and bump it forward. Notice how I've taken my lead hip and I bumped it over that red line. Now, why would I do that? Well, because when I get that weight a little bit forward, I can then move it to my trail foot towards the blue line and start my rotation. One of the things that can help us increase club head speed is shifting of weight or pressure. There are 3 ways to increase club head speed. And this video is not about club head speed. I've done a ton of those, check those out. But you can rotate more, you can get more up and down, or what we call vertical, or you can move side to side. Okay, think of other things. When I go to throw a ball, I start on my lead foot, I go to my trail foot, and then I go ahead and throw it. The same thing can apply to golfers. And as we get older, rotation is more difficult, jumping is more difficult, but moving side to side, still relatively easy for a lot of golfers. So that's why in your setup, okay, you already got your toes out, you got your baseline switched, you're going to start on your front foot, and you're going to move to your trail foot. That movement from left to right, let me go ahead and hit a shot here and just kind of walk through it. So I go left, I'm going to go right, and then boom, back to left, and I'm good to go there. So that would be tip number 3 that I would give you to help you get some of that movement. And that's going to also increase your club head speed. So we got the toes out, a little bit of baseline, and we're starting on that lead foot. Okay? So those are some really good things that we can do. And that's why I love live view right there. Okay? Got it right there. Okay? Now let me share with you one other tip that I want to give you for golfers as we get a little bit older. Okay? And that actually has to do with the finish position. All right? I want to leave you with this little tip here. When you finish your golf swing, make sure that your lead foot, left foot, is pointed out. We've talked about that. And maybe even a little bit more than your trail foot. So let's say my trail foot is flared out 20 degrees. I'm going to take my lead foot and flare it out 30, 35 degrees. Now, why am I going to do that? Well, let me show you. Because when I finish my swing, I want to be balanced. If you're watching this video, my guess is your balance is not as good right now as it was 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago. And by taking that lead foot in the setup and flaring it out just a little bit, what's going to happen is you're going to feel more stable, more solid, more confident, and it's going to allow you to get forward and rotate into the finished position. So as we get older, we can play great golf. There is no doubt about it. But you've got to build your setup to work with the concepts and the things that you have available to you. So next time you head to the golf course, here's what you're going to do. You get set in there. You're going to take your toes, you're going to flare them out. You're going to take your lead foot and maybe even flare it out more. You're going to change your aim a little bit to the right of the target if you're a right-handed golfer, okay? And you're going to bump your hip, your lead hip, over your lead foot so you can get some tempo and some rhythm. Boom. Move from side to side. Get balance on that lead foot. If you do those types of things, you probably might start playing the best golf of your life no matter how old you are.